Hello, my name is Gary Dunn and welcome to another episode of The Profile. Thanks to ProCopy, we're able to bring you an insight into some of the more colourful members of the Perth musical industry. Now, our guest tonight was born in Perth. He plays a mean set of drums. He loves all types of music, no matter what it is. He's one of the only performers in Perth to actually have played on Countdown. And his name is Dave Eamus. How are you, Dave?
Good, very good, Gaz. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, look, thanks for coming in. Always been intrigued about one of the first bands that I saw jumping all over Perth stages, loaded dice. And
we had some energy back in those
Yes.
days. Yeah, with Dick out the front and the rest of the band. We just had a great time playing live, and the live scene, as you know, was very healthy in those days, and everyone that came out normally had a good time when they were watching us, and probably a whole lot of other bands at the same time.
Certainly inspired me. But look, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions.
Sure.
I've obviously said you were born in Perth, but tell us how, why, where.
Well, I like us. I think Mum and Dad, the back of the Zephyr with the doors open, sort of. That's how it began. And then, thanks to King Edward Hospital, they brought me into the world, and we moved south of the river and stayed there for a while, and then eventually I went to the eastern states once I started getting into music, once I found that that's what I wanted to do. And when I came back from the east, I lived north of the river and stayed there for most of my life so far.
I was a northie, now I'm a southie. But
yeah, other way around for me.
So we know you play drums,
Yep.
and you're a heck of a drummer, and I always, like I say, I used to watch you just bashing those things. And well, I really want to know what was a turning point in getting you...
Interested in drums?
Yeah, and how did you get interested?
Well, I went to my uncle's house one weekend with my dad, and up the road we had to go and borrow some guy's wheelbarrow, and he had a set of drums in the lounge, and I said to this bloke, can I have a go? And he let me have a go, and I couldn't do anything, of course. He sat down and played, and I went, I think I might like to do this, because they were loud, it was noisy, and it was great fun. So after we picked up the wheelbarrow, I went back to my uncle's house, and I said to my dad, I wouldn't mind learning how to play drums. And he said, sorry, can't afford it.
So how'd you get around that one?
Well, a few years later, I was still quite keen, and then he eventually started paying for some lessons and got me my first drum kit, my Yamaha Black Oyster Pearl drum kit that I had.
Oh.
And to make a lot of noise, I had to put it out in the backyard if I wanted to bash it hard, because it was too loud inside the house.
You can't do that nowadays.
No, can't do that.
No, not after 10 o'clock. What was the first concert you went to, Dave?
I think the first concert that I was trying to think, I think it's probably Joe Cocker at the Entertainment Centre. Was probably the first one I went to. Don't ask me what year that was, but it was some time ago.
Yes. And what was the last concert you went to?
My eldest boy, Daniel, took me to see AC/DC at Subiaco. Sorry, what's it called now?
Domain.
Domain, yeah.
Domain. Well, that was a huge concert,
Oh,
wasn't
fantastic. Yeah, it was just, he wanted to go in the mosh pit, and I said, no, you can go. I'll just stand back and have a listen. But yeah, it was a great concert.
it? Does he play? Is he a guitar player?
Oh, no. He dabbled in a bit of piano, but just for fun. Doesn't do it in a band or anything like that. Too many other things, family, football and work and all that. So, yeah, no, just me. Just me that's in the family that does a bit of music. But hopefully the grandchildren might get into a bit of that.
Okay, we'll talk about your grandchildren soon, because I know what that feels like. That's great. But can you remember the first single that you actually bought?
Oh, look, I'm a bit embarrassed to say. I think it was called Band of Gold by
Da 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 da.
yeah. That was my first single. It was great in those days because I really loved. I got my first transistor radio, strapped it around me, so I rode everywhere on my bike and just listened to all the top 40 on 6 p.m. I think it was in those days, and it was just great. I just loved listening to the top 40, and then I'd go out and buy a few singles, when I was going into town for drum lessons and things like that. So yeah, it was really inspired me listening to the radio and listening to different types of songs that were being played at the time.
So what would have been the first album you bought?
Well, I think my first album that I bought was Let There Be Drums by Sandy Nelson. No singing, but lots of drumming. So that was my first album I bought, and I think the next big one that I bought would have to be Neil Diamond, Hot August Night,
Yeah,
the
cool.
double.
Yep.
So that was great. I really me and about 10 million other people bought that one, I think.
I just had Brendan Fosdyke in the other week. And
Great.
he obviously does a Neil Diamond tribute.
Yes, we've done a bit of work with Brendan in a support capacity.
Yeah.
So I've seen his show. It's excellent.
Okay, what's your earliest influence? I know you just gave us a bit of an insight. But
Yeah, look, I think when my first band that I played in, we would finish off the night with Johnny B. Good, or a Twist and Shout. So the Beatles and that sort of Chuck Berry and rock and roll sort of thing I sort of got a taste for it then.
Yeah.
And then when that first band finished and I managed to get the job with Loaded Dice, that was very heavily influenced by the Beatles. So Rolling Stones, Beatles and Beach Boys, got into harmonies and all that sort of stuff. Because at that time I didn't sing at all.
But I always remember you singing, because what impressed me as well, I was like, all these guys were jumping up and down, and there was a drummer there singing.
Well, yeah, you could call it that. I used to learn things like a parrot on a cassette player, because I was no singer, and at the time I lived in the band house, which was next door to Dick Haynes, the lead singer and of the band and of Loaded Dice, and he would put things on a cassette. In those days, I just learned them like a parrot, until I could get him in my head. As long as I was playing a 12 bar, then I could concentrate on the singing. Anything other than that was too hard.
So, who are you listening to on the way here in your car?
Actually, I was listening to Farnham, Whispering Jack.
Whispering Jack.
Just a great voice, I went and saw him I got a free ticket to go and see him at Burswood one time, and I think Gary Shannon might have been hosting or something, and we did and he just got up and sang Help, just got up and sang it, and I just went like, wow, this guy's just fantastic, so...
Powerful voice.
Powerful voice, so I just love his voice. He's great.
Who would your favourite band be of all time?
Oh, that's a toughie, because I like a selection of different artists, but I think I'd have to say, Beatles, that era for me, Beach Boys, that, the harmonies and all that sort of stuff. So probably the Beatles, because they've just stood the test of time, and you can still hear their music on the radio now, and they're exposed to a new generation, and it's great. It's just, that's what great music does.
Yes.
It stands the test of time.
Okay, if you were stuck on a deserted island, you knew you were going there, and you had a choice, which album, what album would you take with you? Because this is all you're going to listen to.
Yeah, I reckon I'd probably take an Angels album, or Akadaka, or something that you just want to rock on the island. That would be me. I just love to listen to that. I think either of those two albums would do me.
What's the best Perth band you saw live, you think?
Well, I'd have to say that Perfect Strangers were just a fantastic live band. I just thought they were amazing. I just thought, what a band. Live they were just really tight, and they had charisma, and they were just on fire. I just thought they were a great band.
I remember going to the Overflow, which became the Nookinborough, on a Monday night, and seeing Jimmy and the Boys. Yeah. And that's where Michael Parks first came over here with Barry Lytton. Yeah. Before they formed Perfect
left-handed drummer.
Yes.
I'm actually a left-hander. I'm actually a left-handed drummer playing right-handed. So I still find that quite challenging. So, a bit like, I suppose that's why I liked the Beatles and Ringo Starr as well, because he was a left-hander playing a right-handed drum kit.
Yeah, that's right.
And here I was doing the same thing. Yeah, I can do a little bit of that, but yeah, it's interesting.
So, apart from Loaded Dice, were there any other bands? I know you're doing some stuff recently.
Yeah, Loaded Dice was sort of like was my second band at the age of about 17 through to for a number of years. And then, I've done lots of projects after that. I was in a couple of Beatles tribute bands called the Fab Four, Top Gear. I was in Dick and the Dames, which was a spin-off of Loaded Dice, which was Our Gang, which was Lorraine and Steph. I believe you're doing some work with them soon on your reunion gig.
Yeah, that's funny, because Lorraine came from Our Gang and then came and joined the band the night after at Gobbles, and then Steph was with Dick and the Dames.
Yes,
which was a spin-off of Loaded Dice to some degree, wasn't it? Because Dick was in there and yourself. And
small town Perth,
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. It was great.
We're actually doing a reunion on June the 3rd at the Charles Hotel.
I'll be there.
Yep, great. Look, I've got your album here.
Yeah, that was done some time ago.
Loaded Dice, No Sweat.
Yep.
I love the photos. I absolutely love the photos here.
Yeah, that was done about 2 o'clock in the morning after a gig upstairs at the photographer's place, and we'd just done a big performance and we had to go and do it all again. So it was, and all the action shots on the back as well. So we had to push all the gear over, and the guy was going, my floor. So don't worry about your floor, worry about the equipment. So the actual cover shot was done in the shower.
Wow.
Up against a glass screen.
Wow.
Even my mum didn't know who I was and asked me which one was me.
Yeah, I'm trying to work that one out myself.
That guy up there in the top left. But we had to crouch in the shower, and he wet us all first, and then took the happy snaps.
Because is it Phil and Dick and Marty?
Me, Phil, Marty, and then Dick over on that side. Is that right?
I can remember that.
Oh, other way around. Sorry.
So well.
Me, Marty, Dick, and Phil. Yeah. So that's 1978, I think that is.
And one thing about Loaded Dice I remember as well, because like I was in a band called Hooker, and we played a lot of original music.
Yep.
Even though it was a cover territory and that sort of stuff, and I know you guys did a lot. Yeah,
we did. Throughout the career of Loaded Dice, we were in the last few years before we went to the East. Probably one in every third song was ours, and because we're influenced by the '60s pop sort of scene, a lot of our songs were like that. You know, Groovy Sunglasses and Would You Believe, which was a single we released here. It was great, and people come up, and we did a reunion gig in 2012 at the Charles, and I think the engineer Steve was saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was yours. Didn't know that was yours. Didn't know that was yours." So it was really nice, you know, that the songs sort of we felt were good enough to be played amongst some really top artists.
What was that first single on Countdown that you...
The first single, I think, was Telephone.
Yes, that's right.
It was the first one we did. I hope that's the first one. I think we did a couple, but I think
I was always so jealous you were on Countdown.
Well, that was great. Great times. You know, we were fortunate enough to get a record contract through our management company, which was Neil Scott.
Yep.
And we went to the Eastern States, and we got on Countdown, and we did a couple of appearances on Countdown actually, and it was quite an experience, because they just shuffle all the security guys lock arms, shuffle all the kids to that stage, and then that finishes and shuffle them over to this stage. So it was a real eye opener to how things went. So you actually went through the whole show, you know, as a dress rehearsal.
Yep.
And then you come back and do the whole thing again. They would tape that live. You know.
Wow.
So we were very lucky, and we were lucky enough when we went to the Eastern States, when we got our contract, that we were playing with some great bands at the time, and bands that were just starting up. Cold Chisel were getting just got a contract and had about 100 people. So we actually hired them to come and play at a gig that we started by ourselves, and paid them $500. They brought along their 100 people, and we did the support and played in front of them and stole a few of their crowd to come and watch us. So, you know, it was great. And we did some tours with Midnight Oil and Mental as Anything. Mental as Anything were the first guys we met. We just went to this. As soon as we got to town, we drove around King's Cross and went, oh, wow.
Yes.
You know? And then we went to this little tavern, and the guys from Mental as Anything were actually just having a drink there, and they could tell that we were green. Just looking around the place. Where are you from? Oh, we're from WA. Oh, we're the guys out of Mental as Anything. And we didn't really know who they were, and had a chat to them, and then we ended up doing a few gigs with them at a couple of universities, and went to Canberra and stuff like that with them, and you know, it's great stuff. Did gigs with Rose Tattoo, all sorts of bands.
I won't ask you too much about what happened on the road, because they say...
What happens on the road stays on the road. Yep.
Okay, just going sideways a little
bit.
What other jobs have you had? I say day jobs, we call them as musicians, I suppose. But
well, once we came back from the Eastern States, we all sort of went into... We lasted about another year or so, and then our gang and other bands, and then I branched off and did a few other bands, but obviously the scene was changing a lot then, so I had to go out and get a day job. So I just went out and I went and did a business brokerage course, because I thought maybe I could sell businesses or understand more about business. So I did that, and then while I was trying to sell businesses, I actually found one that I liked and I bought it. So I just got into businesses for about 10 years. I just bought and sold businesses that were run down, fixed them up. So I did that for a long time, and for the last sort of 10 or 15 years, or no, a bit longer than that, about the last 25 years, I've been doing sales. I worked in the bread industry for a long time with a company called Bodie's Bakehouse, doing dietary breads and all that.
Wow.
So I found that really interesting.
Yes.
And then more recently, I'm just doing just a territory manager for another food company.
Give them a plug.
Olympic Fine Foods.
There you go.
WA based.
There you go. So, what was your favourite TV show growing up?
I think I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden. How could you not want to watch her every day, you know?
No, that was
Yeah.
Bewitched.
Oh, you're looking at the nose, were you? Yeah, okay.
No,
yeah.
That.
Yeah. Oh, that's Bewitched you're thinking of. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there was a few. I never got to watch much TV, but if I had the opportunity to have a look at Barbara Eden, yeah, I'd be there.
So, twofold question. What unfulfilled ambitions do you have? And this sort of goes for what does the future hold for you? Because I heard you talking earlier, I was eavesdropping, and you were talking about having a partner for 20 years and you're not married.
Yeah, well, she hasn't asked me yet.
Do you think that's coming soon?
Well, I don't know. You might have to ask her that. Maybe you can get her in for the next interview.
Because I know you're a dad, you're a granddad.
Yeah, got a couple of grandkids, got a couple of sons now in their 30s, and
Wow.
I've got a couple of grandchildren now. You've got some grandchildren of your own. So a fabulous time of my life, and my partner and I, Sue, we just love our grandkids a bit, and we spend a bit more time. I suppose I think that's what I'd like to probably do a bit now. I'm sort of cutting back the music a little bit. I was doing about 3 or 4 projects. I'm down to 2.
Yep.
And that plus the day job is enough. And then I took January off this year, and I really enjoyed just spending more time with the family and the grandkids and doing that sort of, instead of saying I can't come, I can come.
Yes.
So you know what it's like.
Well,
you
as
know?
musicians,
It's very hard to
miss out, don't
always
you?
miss out. So yeah, I think the future holds for me. I'd probably just like to still play a little bit. If I could do it professionally, I would, but those days are gone now.
Yeah.
So I have to work during the day. But subject to a lotto win, I could probably go back and do a bit of music full time. That's why I keep buying those tickets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like all of us.
Yeah.
Do you collect anything?
Yeah, losing lotto tickets. Yeah, no, not really. No, just no, I don't. I've never had a fascination or for collecting things in particular. Just losing lotto tickets. It's very depressing. Too much money.
And I noticed you brought your loaded dice, CDs, and
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of people. I was the guy at the back, of course, playing the drums. So a lot of people probably would recognise Dick Haynes and Phil Flanagan, Marty Mather, and all that sort of stuff, But thanks to ProCopy, we've done quite a few of these things, and we did our Loaded Dice Reloaded tour. That ProCopy did all the artwork and all the work for us and all the printing of that. These are still available, by the way.
that was at the Charles, wasn't it?
That was at the Charles reunion in 2012. So get in touch with ProCopy and buy yours at $19.99. So so we was doing that, and that was a great reunion because we had a couple of guys from previous lineups of Loaded Dice. We had Tony Fox Slater playing keyboards and John Zillman, who was in our lineup.
Yes.
We flew him from Holland back for that, and Marty was living in Queensland, so we flew him back for that. So it sort of cost quite a bit to put on, but it was great to have all the boys back, and we rehearsed at my house for a week. And then did a couple of gigs. We sold out, like I think you might have done when you've done some of yours. We sold out on the Saturday, so we did the old Sunday session.
Good.
So, and both of those nights went really well. So,
remember those old Sundays.
If you don't remember me, you might remember these guys.
Look, time has got the better of us, Dave, but I really, really appreciate you coming in.
It was great to be here, and thanks for having us.
Thanks for an insight into your life.
No worries. Thanks.
Good for you.
Thank you.
All that I'm waiting for is one good lover. All that I'm waiting for is you, just you. Don't go looking round for substitution. Don't go looking round. I'm waiting here for you.
That was Load a Dice with Would You Believe?